Okay, here we are back in the letter, and it is time to go further into Isabella's madness. So, we have a little bit more for the hospital stuff before we return to the common route with Luke and everything, but I'm gonna try to speed through the Luke segments. I'll actually just full out use skip, so just a heads up. Even before, it never crossed my mind I'd ever feel apprehension over a hospital visit. Knowing my family has experienced illness to warrant an overnight vigil. And when a relative did pass away here some years ago, I was still all too young to commit the details to memory. I recall the tears, but the emotions simply felt too distant to stick. In truth, everything I remember of hospitals are the bright lights, the cozy private rooms, and the doctor's tender smiles.
Until last night.
Now the lights glare, shining far too brightly, intensely against my eyes. The smile from the on-duty nurse founders under every single uncertainty. The room at the end of this ward looms forebodingly ahead of me. This being the second day has thankfully dulled the edge to that. Somewhat. There's still the voice in the back of my mind, whispering, expecting the worst, while hoping to all that is good in the world that I won't find an empty bed and equally graver news upon my return. But I push these all down as far as I can the minute I near her room. It won't do for Zachary to see me this way. He'll send me back home for sure. The latter won't do either. I'm not going to let him when all the help we can get will only be the two of us until her aunt arrives. After that call with Ashton, with the way he sounded, I don't think he plans on showing up here. He probably thinks he'll be more useful out there. I know he's just doing his job, but it almost seems like he's using it as an excuse this way. What exactly is there to avoid here? He's so willing to face everything head-on, but this? How absurd. Regardless, whatever the answers, those will have to wait, along with many others, as I give the door to Isabella's room a mild push.
Hey, scaredy cat?
My hand stills. My whole body freezes, stopping me almost a hair's breadth from fully opening the door.
Ash?
A frown soon follows my confusion. There, settled on the edge of the bed, is the last person I've expected to see here no mere seconds ago. Sitting almost too comfortably at that, with a small smile gracing his face. As if last night's events haven't yet taken a huge toll on him. But it's obvious. His fatigue is there, in the tired lilt in his voice, the detached look in his eyes, and the manner his shoulders droop. He's barely keeping himself together. Just looking at him right now makes me regret ever thinking he's simply making excuses out of his work. I should have known better. An apology immediately forms in my head, already at the tip of my tongue, although before I can even string two words together he continues. He's yet to notice my presence, and I've yet to make myself known. But somehow, something in the way he speaks next prevents me from doing so, despite the casual note he takes. Something anyone, including me, isn't supposed to ever hear from him. Something deeply personal.
Really, how long are you planning to stay like that? You've been criticizing my sleeping habits, yet look what you're doing. I hope you know Zach and Rebecca are already losing sleep over this.
Ashton pauses, holding the moment, allowing his words to seep into the air. He means that as a reprimand, or I assume he does. Sounds like one from the way he has phrased it. Yet the tone of his voice betrays their very essence, and not long into that silence he chuckles. Low, close to breathless, and if I listen closely, I'd say there might have been a hint of a long-held fondness in it.
But this is how you've always been, isn't it? Clumsy, careless, a scatterbrain and a crybaby. Always getting in trouble. Always getting us in trouble.
He trails off. Another pause. Another held breath. Then he sighs.
Always making me worry.
And with it, the air inexplicably shifts to something gentler, warmer. A quiet little thing filling the room that neither seeks to stifle nor confine. Instead, it only lingers in the silence, bearing simple truths no mere words or grand gestures can express. When he finally chooses to break it, he does so with all the care in the world. Softly, in hushed tones, fragile in itself.
But those things...
Because sometimes, all it needs is not a thunderous declaration, but a single fleeting second of small smiles, tender touches and sincere honesty.
Those things, I love those.
A truth long held unlocked.
And everything. Everything that's you.
Here in this room, amidst the faint whir of machines and the soft moonlight streaming from the windows, in this little space, those words roar louder than the briefest of sighs, and that lone second forms a memory. One you'll probably keep even after this moment fades with time. One I'm intruding on, never meant for my eyes to see or my ears to hear. The prayer that comes at the end of it is never for me to behold either.
This place feels a whole lot emptier without you. So please, if you can somehow hear me, come back.
But I can't bring myself to turn away. Even as silence once again sweeps into the room and only the beeping of the machines remains. Even as he himself cowers under what everything he said stands for.
This is stupid.
Because I understand, with the most painful clarity, the other truth the scene proffers. What the tiny gleam in Ashton's eyes, his darting glances and his kind smiles convey. Little things, little gestures. To others it may seem like nothing, but to him it means the whole world, because it's the only way he can say everything without fumbling or losing his nerves. Right from the very start. I know. I've always had an inkling. The thought has always been there, hiding, tucked, and neatly sealed away at the back of my mind, in the same manner he keeps his own secrets close to himself. Which is why there's no jolt in me, no surprise, just a slow, aching, burning realization of a truth long held, a feeling's never meant to be for me. And yet in the end, a flash of anger still surges within me. It clenches, pierces, leaving my heart torn and numb, draining every color and noise from the world around me. The bag in my hand hangs weightless in my hand as the magnitude of those words gradually closes in on me. You didn't want to hear this. You didn't want to see this. I shouldn't be here. I shouldn't have gone there. But before I can move and force my feet to take the first few steps to save myself, Zachary's voice echoes from the room, deep and still rough with what's apparently sleep. Utterly clueless of what has just transpired only minutes ago. How I wish I could be as oblivious to it as him right now.
Hey, Ash.
Everything snaps back into place at its sound, and the veil lifts from my mind. All of my reasons for being here rushes back to me along with it, no longer held by that familiar, bitter feeling slowly consuming my thoughts. But it's still there, coiled in a tight knot in my chest, simply waiting for another chance to unfurl itself.
How long have you been here?
Just came in a few seconds ago.
Lies.
Oh, sorry. I didn't hear you.
Figures. It's not a problem. You probably need to rest anyway.
You're the one talking. You look like shit.
So I've been told.
Seriously, how long have you been up?
18, 20 hours or so? It doesn't matter. I'll get some shut-eye later. Where's Rebecca?
Funny how he remembers me now. Not a few moments ago, he's only taken that one little thing I hold dear and allowed the burden of his bloody sentiments to crush it. After all these years, I'm the one that becomes the afterthought. But I take this mention of my name as my cue to compose myself and hide all these somewhere safe. Preferably somewhere no one else will find. Just like how it's always been. Ultimately, this isn't what I came here for.
I sent her home early, but she'll be back too.
At the light rap I give the door, Zachary breaks off mid-sentence at once. Their eyes are on me when I slide into the room, though their attention doesn't really stay. Soon the bag I'm carrying catches their eye, and they're both shooting me bewildered looks. Zachary in particular appears about to say something, but can't quite place how he'll articulate it. A swift glance at Ashton tells me the same thing, though the question in his eyes comes off more passive, muted. I raise a hand at them before they can say something about it.
It's not mine.
The light mood changes as soon as I finished. They know. I don't have to spell it out for them. I don't think they want me to, when that reality is just lying a few inches away from us. Either way, the atmosphere doesn't last. The world isn't done rendering my heart useless, as it turns out. Even Zachary, clueless as he is, gapes at me with a worried crease on his forehead. He has the right to be. The bitter tone my voice takes once the conversation turns elsewhere surprises me too.
No, I'll take it from here.
You don't have to do that. Zachary and I can handle this for a few days.
Both of you already had your turn with this. It wouldn't hurt to have another person helping out.
This isn't some sort of a competition, Ash. We're doing this because someone has to be here for her.
I'm not making this one. I just volunteered, didn't I?
Despite knowing Ashton only means well with his offer, hearing it directly from him, seeing him throw his affections around as if no one knows, it stings. It burns.
Don't you have an investigation to finish?
And Zach has freelance gigs in line for the next few days. You have students to teach. Don't push it, Becca.
Yet when all is said and done, the only thing I can do is beat a hasty retreat, while that green-eyed monster rages inside me.
All three of us have things to take care of on our own, but between us, it should be easier to find some time to...
Fine. Good.
This isn't the proper place for it. With my words too strained, too quiet, no amount of anger would get my own feelings across to him. 17 years and it never once did. What more now?
Do what you want.
It ends with 3 steps in a hastily shoved bag. In all honesty, I'm not entirely sure what I'm expecting will show in Ashton's face. Anger to match mine? Confusion maybe, or perhaps regret. It certainly isn't the straight-faced one he has now. However, more than that, beyond the impassive mask he wears, in the passing minute I lock gazes with him, I see it. In the glimpse of it, out of everything tonight, is what shatters all that remains of my restraint. I don't wait for him to say anything. Quickly, I tear my eyes away from his and march towards the door, ignoring the worried glances Zachary shoots my way. My heart may be far from fragile, but neither of them needs to see it break. The door closes with a soft click, but for a long moment I remain standing amidst the empty hall. Taking in the silence, listening for anything that'll dare break it, waiting for that hammer to finally fall or for the ground to swallow me whole. None of it happens, of course, and for what's perhaps the 100th time in the span of a second, I'm left to recall what I saw in Ashton. It's not hearing the thoughtfully worded admission of his own feelings that did it, nor seeing those unguarded, yearning glances he gave her, but facing the faraway look in his eyes and who he has always seen past me, past the person who has always stood in front of him. I never had him in the first place.
I love him.
The words itself leave a bitter aftertaste in my mouth despite wanting them to be heard for so long. Suddenly, at their mere utterance, the world goes too still, too bright, too sharp, too cold. Ever so slowly, a chill seeps into my heart and settles there, replacing a warmth I no longer remember feeling. Distant, much like the only memories I have of this place. With nothing else to cling to, I run. Behind me, the door once again creaks open, and Zachary calls after me, cordial, friendly, and utterly unsuspecting. I ignore all of it, because even after all this, his isn't the voice I want to hear. I make it out of the hospital in a flurry of steps, my mind abuzz with thoughts and emotions in turmoil. Ignoring the courteous smiles every staff member shoots my way, or the voice shouting after me. My footfalls hit hard against the pavement, each stride a stark refusal, each distance I put a continued denial. More than once, a passing stranger would give me looks. Is it pity, consternation, scorn, or dismay?
It doesn't matter now, does it?
All I hear are the voices inside my head, jeering, mocking, while the rest of the world blurs around me. I'm the one who has always been by his side. I'm the one who knew more about him than anyone. Why couldn't it have been me? But the universe doesn't have an answer for that, and neither does anyone. So I run, until everything fades away from my mind, until my breathing goes labored, until my legs buckle, feet catching a loose stone and the world tilting sideways at long last. A yelp comes from my mouth, but the pain I'm expecting, hoping for, doesn't. When awareness returns to me in a rush of sound and colors, it isn't his hand that grips my arm, nor the sharp gleam usually in his eyes that I see. Far, a striking contrast. This one's softer, kinder. Though worry slightly mars his voice, there's nothing in it but genuine concern. Zachary's. It's always a wonder how they even became friends.
Easy there, ma'am.
He doesn't waste any time, nor even wait for some form of gratitude from me, and quickly pulls me to my feet. However, it isn't until he draws a handkerchief from his pocket and gingerly hands it to me that I glance up at him, searching for an explanation.
For your, face.
He makes a vague gesture around his cheeks, his movements small and a bit awkward before letting his arm fall and hang at his sides, suddenly too afraid to point it out. He does not retract his hand offering the handkerchief, though, merely giving me a sheepish shrug and another smile when I finally lift a hand up my cheek and it comes away wet. Oh. I cast him another look, wary, unsure, but all he has for me is the same accepting smile. There's a question behind it, but for the moment he holds off. So with another indrawn breath, I take the offered cloth, if only to keep my hands occupied while I put myself together.
Thanks.
No problem. Take your time if you want. And, I'll just be here. Pretending I didn't see anything and, take your time.
Zachary's polite enough to avert his gaze, and only when the last of the tears have been wiped away does he say anything.
You okay? The floor almost had you there.
Yeah, thanks again. Sorry about that.
The words ring hollow even to my ears, and I'm not certain either if they're meant to be an apology for all his troubles, or for showing him this pathetic side of me. Nevertheless, he accepts them.
Nah, it's cool. Surprised me, though. Didn't think you could run that fast. But you don't look really well right now. Something happened?
No, nothing. Nothing important. I was just a little shaken, I think, from all that running. I'll be fine, Zachary.
Well, don't push yourself too hard, alright? I'm sure Bella will understand if you ever decide to take a break. Hell, she wouldn't want us fussing over like this. If you aren't feeling up to it, just say so. Let Ashton and I take over now. It ain't a big deal.
Oh, I'm sure Ashton would love that.
Regret follows the second the heated words leave my mouth, and the light mood inevitably shatters. As black as my mood might have been, Zachary doesn't deserve to receive the brunt of it. No one does. Even Ashton. Yet all I see in my head right now is the image of him seating across inside that room, spilling his heart out unlike he ever did for me, wearing such sincerity I've never seen in him before. The concerned expression returns to Zachary's face, and with it are the hundreds of questions he's been avoiding to ask. Under his honest scrutiny, I balk. I look away before he can see past this and catch a glimpse of the ugly side of me. But considering how well I've handled this so far, I wouldn't be shocked if he already thinks less of me.
Rebecca, is everything really alright?
I bet he already knows the answer to that. Regardless of appearances, Zach can be quite as perceptive as Ashton. It's part of the reason why they became friends in the first place. Frankly, I don't understand why he's still making an effort to ask. For the sake of being polite? Responding to that will only open a whole different can of worms, and he should also know that. What a mess. The best thing to do now is simply end this. Regardless of his good intentions, Zachary doesn't deserve to be caught in the middle of the chaos my mind is in right now. So that took away affection from him, I think?
I'm sorry, Zachary. I didn't mean that.
Smile. Bottle it up. Hide it where other people can't judge, even if it leaves me wanting for a more explosive outburst. At least this way there's no guilt apart from the one I have to suffer myself.
I know you don't. You're actually scarier than that when you mean it.
Am I? Really?
Only a bit. A wee bit. Don't take that personally, please. I mean, you're a really nice person, but you also have to deal with Ash and Bella sometimes. That takes a lot of patience, especially Ash. And you're a teacher, so I guess...
Zachary?
Yes, ma'am?
You don't have to say anything to make me feel better about myself. I'm tougher than that.
Oh, well, I was just...
Besides, I've already heard most of those from Isabella. I'm used to it. Trust me.
Zachary's eyebrows are drawn together when I glance back at him, his mouth opening and closing in a weak attempt to answer my reassurances. This probably isn't where he wants to take this little talk, but the turn it took left him no other choice. Much like how he found himself thrust in this position, I think there's a missing word. Out of all people, he now has to be the one standing in the middle to fix things, even when no such obligations have been handed to him. Bloody, he didn't need to follow me, but that's just how he is. This is an unintentional mistake on my part too, yes, though I still can't help but feel responsible. The best apology I can give him right now is a light pat to his arm. A bit half-hearted coming from me, but I do it still. It's not like I have any other thing left I can offer.
Look, Zachary. All of this, it's probably just the stress talking. Don't worry about me. We've all been on the edge since the news broke. I haven't even gotten a decent sleep since it started, and it still doesn't seem like things will be slowing down anytime soon. Maybe it's a good thing Ashton volunteered when he did. At least now we have a few hours to rest, yes? Take your own advice and go get a break yourself, okay?
I throw in another smile at him for good measure, but it falters the second my eyes meet his. It's that look again. The one too honest. If I hold it for a moment longer, I'll probably end up saying things I shouldn't. More than what I'm willing to disclose at the moment. Because despite wanting to get these feelings across, these are also ones I've harbored longer than any. If Ashton won't hear them, won't have them, then neither has the world any right to do so. I'm more than happy to cling to these if it'll keep the misery at bay. I've already done so before. It won't change a damn thing. So without bothering with a goodbye, I walk away. Zachary doesn't stop me, doesn't reach out a hand or call out my name. This is as far as he'll allow himself to cross. For all his concerns between the two of us, he's more familiar with this line we keep between us than I am. He won't intrude far from what these boundaries allow. When his voice rings out again, above the din of traffic around us, in a last attempt to reach me, it does exactly what he's been reluctant to do.
Hey, Rebecca! About Ashton.
I stop and turn to look at him nevertheless. Even with half a mind to bolt, caught between that small urge to hide until this simply blows over in my own curiosity.
Frankly, I don't really understand what happened back there. I ain't gonna pretend I get the gist of it. I ain't sure if this'll help either, but look, he might be the smartest guy I know, but there are times when things go straight over his head. Way over his head.
No malice, no ill will in it. Their words not meant to hurt, just another truth, because apparently we've got heaps of those to throw around today.
So, I think you should talk to him, at least. You don't have to do it, of course. That's just my 2 cents. Ashton can be a bit dense. Sometimes things really work better if you just say it to him.
Zachary ends it with a shrug, as casual and nonchalant as he can manage. The nervous lines of his shoulders tell a different story, however. He wants to say more, but this is all what those metaphorical boundaries we keep will allow. What I will allow for now. In the end, he simply settles for a smile of his own, reluctant, unwilling to leave things here, but with no expectations of it being returned. He's the one who departs first, seconds later, leaving the ghosts of what he said hanging over me. And perhaps it's exactly the fear of being left with these thoughts that leads me to the cafe instead. Less time to think about these as long as I'm moving into the company of other people. So right here we run into everyone's favorite character, Luke Wright.
Mister, you
So I think that's what everyone wants. That seems to be the popular option. Apologize to Kylie just so we can twist the knife and Luke a little bit more. So what are we talking about here? Made those little plans. Okay, they're looking at the stars. We never got around it before. Now we may lose that chance altogether. Even so, I find myself enjoying this, despite being told it's only half the experience. Little things, you know. Stuff you learn to appreciate when you're alone. Because at certain times, you get to meet people who are unfortunately born with the innate talent to ruin the mood, and the scene with their mere presence alone. For example, the very driver of that car fast approaching my direction. The brief lull the past 2 days has offered is nice while it lasted, or as nice as it can get while we're playing the long waiting game, teetering between sheer optimism and despair. Her aunt's arrival this morning has dampened the edge to that somewhat, though only by some. The uncertainty is still there, unspoken throughout the brief time we talked, simply hanging stiffly above our heads. Having another person with us helps. However, I can tell the same doubts as crossed her mind the second she saw her in that room. Ashton himself doesn't look too hopeful when he left a night ago. It was a wordless exchange, partly sullied by my lingering anger and his exhaustion, but has left a sullen atmosphere in the room nonetheless.
Like an ugly premonition.
And as expected, just as things start to settle and a steady rhythm finally worms its way back to my routine, Thursday morning brings further disturbance to the now calm waters. You're good at handling her. Right now I'm starting to wonder if it's even possible to get this ending when you're on this particular route. Because I don't know if we're going to get that much of an opportunity to boost Ashton's affection any. So we never met Marianne, I think. As a result, she won't call, but I could be misremembering things, I'm not sure. So anyway, she's talking about attending a movie premiere. Someone's inviting her out for one reason or another. Days later, a friend ends up in the trauma center at the local hospital fighting for her life. There simply isn't enough time to breathe and get a grip on things. Oh, yeah, I guess they did meet. I don't really remember it, though. Hey, Becca, I'll be around Salem Hall this evening. Need to meet someone in the area. I might drop by to yours and Isabella's place after. See ya. Except she won't be there. If that scenario ever comes to pass while she's stuck in that hospital... So... Are they asking her... Okay, he's not talking about the housewarming here, but even after what I heard of the fact that he detests attending gatherings like this, it's company that counts. We can be miserable together. Sorry, got other stuff to do. In spite of what happened, I can't help but return it to him. Somehow, I can never seem to stay angry at him for so long.
What brought you here?
He hummed something inaudible, neither an answer nor even a vague hint, before he turns his attention back to the papers. For a passing second, I thought he'd ignore or evade the question, like every single time I've asked. But then he shuffles the documents back to a binder and sets it aside with a huff. It sounded more fatigued than I've ever heard from him recently.
What is it?
Nothing too important. Though I did drop by the hospital this afternoon. I met Belle's aunt, by the way. You never told me she's arriving today.
It's a mere observation, a passing comment, if you will. Maybe under different circumstances, I might have accepted it for what it is. Perhaps if I haven't heard him pour his heart out that night, it'll simply be what he means against my ears. But he has no idea, not even the slightest inkling, how his words carry a ring of an accusation in my mind. A beat of it in every utterance, closing in tightly around me, intense and keen, as if I've deprived him of something so precious. Even without her warmth and cheer here, I still can't seem to win. Because he himself holds on to it. To her.
I don't have to report everything to you, do I? Besides, isn't that already a given? We can't be with Isabella all the time. All three of us have other responsibilities. It's better this way.
Her aunt's just one woman too, Becca. She won't be able to handle this on her own.
I wasn't implying.
I know, but... Look, I talked to her. It's all right. If anything, she's relieved. She had no idea who'd ask for help. In fact, she wants to see the three of us, if we can all visit tomorrow morning.
Well, you certainly didn't waste any time getting friendly with her family.
He frowns, a look of genuine confusion spraying across his face, though the moment doesn't last.
Is that... a problem?
Oh no, not at all.
No, but you have something on your mind.
By all means, just do your thing. You surprised me, that's all. Last time I saw you, you still weren't so keen getting chummy with people you barely know. Amazing how fast someone can change overnight, isn't it?
Her aunt needed assistance, Becca.
There's no lack of things to add to that. All of it will likely be born out of this hollow ache in my chest. I can go on for hours if I want to. But then in the next second, almost unexpectedly, his tone changes. Kinder, warmer. Still nowhere near the one he used when he spoke to her that night, of course. This will never come close to it. Hearing him like this, however, it's easy to forget his heart's already set on someone and realize how petty this is getting. Since when have we become so low? Since when have I...
Is something bothering you? You've been like this since the film fest.
Just like that, for remains my anger melts away. Almost like a betrayal after carrying it around my shoulders for days.
Having another bad week?
Maybe. What is it to you? Don't expect this to turn into a heart-to-heart just because you made a few assumptions.
Okay, I get it. You don't have to tell me. No need to snap at me. Even Zach's been in an odd mood lately. He's been saying some weird stuff. Must be the weather. But whatever it is, don't let it get to you, alright?
If only it were that easy. But I present him a smile nevertheless, half-hearted as it may be.
Don't worry. This is nothing a cup of tea or a good book can't fix. I'll live. Somehow.
Right then. If you're sure.
He doesn't seem convinced. In any case, he doesn't push it and changes the topic just as quick, for which I'm glad. I have no idea what else I may end up saying in case he pursues it.
So, tomorrow? Will you be able to make it? Just for a few hours?
Can it wait until the weekend? I already took a leave this Tuesday. Can't afford another one or two, especially with exams this close. Is this anything urgent?
No, not really. But the doctors plan to ease Belle out of the coma tomorrow. Her aunt said we could be there when they do, and I thought...
Hang on, what does that mean? Is she okay now?
They won't know until they've lightened the sedation.
He leaves it at that. His words brim me with the same uncertainty plaguing us for days. Behind those, however, is the single note of optimism. One I don't fault him for having, because suddenly, this news, no matter how small, is the closest thing we have to hope right now. I can't say the same for me, however.
I won't promise anything, but I'll give my supervisor a heads up and see where it goes. Does Zachary already know?
Not yet. I'll drop by his apartment on the way back to the precinct. If anything comes up, you know how to contact me. I'll see you tomorrow, Becca.
Ashton squeezes my shoulder light as he can before stepping away and heading straight for the stairs. Tomorrow afternoon, do you have time? So I don't know if there are any more affection events, but we'll see. So real quick, I want to see the branching tree to see how close we are to wrapping this up. That is kind of annoying. So that's a conditional on a conditional. Yeah, I'm not sure how much time is left. So we're on the bottom route. I think I'm just going to call it quits here because I don't know how the scenes are going to play out and I have a lot of stuff to upload. So when we pick up next time, we'll probably go into the hospital and then we will see if we can get the love confession, but I'm not holding my breath. Anyway, I'm the Hero of Light. Thanks for watching. and goodbye.